Right now, before we start getting into a number of these financial conversations, I'd really like to talk about really where you're at right now. Obviously, we joked at the beginning, and also you did share us with us like kind of where you're at now from, startup entrepreneurial founder to big tech to um, to freelancer to now, working on personal projects. Um, where do you see yourself continuing to go, right? Is it still like where do you have like a certain plan for yourself and where you see yourself in like 1, 3, 5 years ahead?
Uh, I generally plan my life about 1 to 2 weeks in advance, maybe a month if I'm feeling very, uh, yeah, I don't know, if I'm feeling very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm thinking in advance, but typically I kind of take it day to day. Uh, and career wise, I kind of think like, what are my goals right now? Is there anything I want to learn? Is there anything I don't like about what I'm doing currently? And with the freelance stuff, I was enjoying the work, um, but like rewinding to when I was at Google, part of the reason I quit that was because I felt like I was kind of pigeonholed in a specific role. I was doing Android app development, and I was kind of just feeling out of place because I'm an iPhone user. And I mean, Android's always been my forte. I know how to do it, but I I would prefer to work on something that is more relevant to what I use every day. And also, I felt like I wasn't being very productive. I wasn't doing my best work just because Google, big corporation, has a lot of kind of bureaucracy, a lot of politics, a lot of decisions being made all the time, projects getting started, canceled, restarted. And I literally went my last year at Google, I I worked on a project for like a month, then it would get canceled, and then another 2 months, and then they would change the priorities, and then next thing you know, we're working on something else, and it's just bouncing all over the place. And long story short, we would go like a year without actually delivering anything. And so it just didn't feel like I was doing my best work.
Mm,
Fast forward to doing the contract stuff, I felt much more creative control because it's a much smaller team. Sometimes it's just me and one other guy. Um, and you're working directly with the client, you're hearing about the business needs, you're seeing it as it gets adopted, and it was much more close to, it's a much more central role. And then I decided towards the end of that, my contracting stint, that I have a lot of different projects that I've kind of been mulling over the years, like bouncing around the back of my head, and I just never made the time to work on them. And uh, a couple of my two contract gigs both kind of abruptly wrapped up earlier this year because they were having some funding issues, and so I found myself suddenly with a lot of free time, and I was like, okay, now's the perfect time to jump into some personal projects. And so I basically set aside 3 weeks. I said, okay, I'm going to work on this project for 3 weeks, and if I can prove to myself that I can put in the work, then um, then I'll keep going with this project. If not, I'm going to throw this project out and move on with my life. And yes, today actually marks the day after that 3 week period concluded, and actually made some good progress. And it was even more fun and more rewarding than the contract work. Uh, but the obvious downside is it pays zero. So, or the pay is far down the road once we've actually shipped it. And so, yeah, it's all about trade-offs. The contract stuff I said was more rewarding, but it's kind of off and on. That faucet turns on and off. It's kind of outside your control. Depends on what the client wants to do. You're spending a decent amount of time sourcing leads and stuff, and then yeah, obviously with entrepreneurial stuff, there is absolutely no guarantee of getting paid ever. So it's a big risk. But luckily, I've kind of used what I saved from Google to fund my sporadic income lifestyle now. So yeah,
Yeah, we have a comment here of like that TV show as well. You said a lot, and I think there's a lot to get into there, but I think he was referring to, yeah, Silicon Valley, where you were doing a lot of projects, starting, stopping, dead time, stuff that
yeah,
was, yeah, not happening. But yeah, did you ever feel like they could have just spent, put you up on the roof and just kept you on the books, but you weren't doing
a
it?
100%. Honestly, 100%. After I left, I was talking to one of my coworkers who was still there, and I said, "Hey, how are things going? Did you guys finally like get on track? Have you shipped anything?" He said, "Dude, literally, they canceled the project again, and they had nothing for us to work on. Us being like an entire organization, right? Like dozens and dozens of people." Uh, and he said, "So to keep us busy, they just had us build a fake app in order to like team build and like learn how to work together." I was just like, "Wow." That's how much money Google's making, where they could just pay a whole organization to work on nothing for like months on end. It's pretty
And
spectacular.
I can't imagine like the salaries, right? It's just incredible to just have just dead
Millions
space.
of dollars were being just shoveled into the furnace. It's crazy.
Yeah. So maybe tell us a little bit more about that like Silicon Valley life.